Hi everybody, this is Charlotte Phillips and welcome to The Art with a Heart. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about my style of painting. I paint intuitively, which for me just means that I paint from my inner child to my higher self. So my paintings carry a very childlike quality. And they teach me lessons from my higher self, my unconscious and subconscious parts of myself. Sometimes it can be an emotion that my inner child is experiencing, and then other times it can just be a lesson or something I'm going through. Some days I want to go for a more realistic approach, but it's just not going to have it. So in this painting I had to let go and just let this more childlike painting come across. Some days I feel really strong within, and what shows up on the canvas commands more strength and power. On those days I feel like what I'm trying to get across comes through more effortlessly. Other days they're much more emotional and they take me on a journey. Take for instance the one on the right, the moon dance, was a much more emotional, feminine side of myself. And then this particular day I was with a friend of mine from high school, and that connection that I felt with her showed up on the canvas. That heart actually appeared without my knowing it. Some of my paintings look like they were painted by different people. In this three-part painting, Running Free, you can easily see that the middle one looks totally different from the other two. This is because I was experiencing different parts of myself when I painted them. When I painted the one in the middle, I was experiencing a lot of frustration. I just couldn't get a connection within myself and within my painting. But I decided to leave it because these are all parts of who I am. Some days I get frustrated because I can't seem to find the visual image that I want to convey with the mood or the lesson I'm going through. So on these days I go to my Pinterest board, and I love to look at all the photographs, the tutorials, the paintings, the artists. I call it traveling down the hole to get inspired. And soon something will spark a mood for me, and then I'll be able to internalize this feeling that I'm getting and be able to express it from the inside out. When I first began my art journey about 10 years ago, one of the real reasons that I began this was to get in touch with my inner child and my higher self for the purpose of healing some childhood wounds that I had suppressed in my body. I wanted to heal on a more creative level. So at first when I began, there were mostly children and angels and ascension type things, going through layers and layers of these emotions that I had buried down in my body since my childhood. Then as I began to go deeper, I started involving more deeper emotions. One of the paintings that came through at this time was one called Letting Go, and the title came first, and I knew when I heard that title that it was going to take me on a journey. The vision of what it was going to, the form and the vision of what it was going to feel like hadn't come through yet, but I was watching the Netflix series called The Tutors, and I was really moved by Anne Boleyn, who was played by Natalie Dormer. I really thought that this image of her face carried some of the same emotions and vibrations that I was experiencing. So I really wanted this painting to depict some of that same contemplation and transformation that I was experiencing. I layered several different images in Photoshop to create the final sketch. Then I took a picture of the letter that I was writing to my past self and incorporated it into the design. The black background in Fleur de Lis design got changed because I decided to use a pattern that I already had on hand. This next image is what I refer to as my ugly stage. This is the stage where my fear and all my doubts seem to enter. The confidence that I began with has temporarily left me, and when this happens I know that I have a lot of suppressed emotions to move through, so it's a good time to just step back and allow these parts to fully express. Sometimes I have to use the mirror in order to get in touch with some of these abandoned parts within, but when I return to my painting, I'm much more connected to these abandoned parts, and so this transformation and confidence begins to show up on the canvas. As you can see, her face becomes clearer and much more in focus. Of course, it doesn't take long before another struggle enters, And in this painting, I struggled with painting the hands. So a lot of emotions came up to be healed with this particular part. And so I decided to take a picture of my own hands and incorporate some of that energy. And yep, those are how long my fingers are. I wasn't totally happy with how her hands turned out. But then I realized that I had taken her as far as I could. Sometimes my art just teaches me that it's time to let go and just celebrate where I am now.